but it begins with conversation. It begins with the discussion and the opportunity to answer those questions that our youth in particular may have thoughts about and may be afraid to ask why we do, how we do, when we do, what we do. And feeling comfortable in the presence of law enforcement and understanding who we are. We have the responsibility, we have the civic responsibility to protect everyone in our community. And it doesn't matter what race, it doesn't matter what gender, it doesn't matter what nationality that person is. I don't get to pick the 911 call. I have to respond. And that citizen doesn't get to pick the race or gender of the officer. I spend a lot of my community sessions without the young people at the table. And by far, this is the most of the young people that I've had in my presence in community conversations. So wherever you are, wherever you return, encourage your community, your churches, your civic organizations, your schools, to engage in this type of conversation. You want your civic leaders, they don't all have to be police officers, but they have to be your community leaders. You want those people who are accountable to be at a table in conversation with you. Encourage that. You want that and you need it.
I think it's something about appreciating where you are in time. What is it to be 17 years old in 2015? But you are still living in a society that treats certain people differently and equity. And it might just be right in your school that you can see that in many cases under one roof there's a whole curriculum for certain students, and then there's another curriculum and pathway for others. But it's all being done under the same roof. The challenge, I think, whether it's social justice work, civil rights activism, whatever you want to call justice work, I am saying young people have to understand the necessity of analysis. You call on the older ones of us for help, but you can't be told this stuff. You have to do some thinking, and you have to build on the past, but you gotta say, given the reality of the times in which I live, what are still the issues? And we do it, as Chief Brown says, through conversation, through dialogue. But I would say the most important thing is you cannot believe that it's somebody else's work. It is not other people's work. It's your work. Thank you.
I thought I'd share a tactical approach to problem resolution to you and share some of the things that we did in the past that were proved successful. I can tell you that instead of the Greensboro 4 or the A&T 4 or whatever, that if there was only one of us, it would have been extremely difficult to do by yourself. So think in terms of coalition building. Yesterday, I saw a contemporary event in sociology. People of every persuasion, male, female, gay, black, white, Native Americans, Asians, all around the world together for a common cause and to build a coalition for change. Learn to master this. Often it's difficult. As long as you end or begin where the end's in mind and you know what it is you're trying to achieve, it's an effective way.
If you just think, what do I want my community, my country, my state to be like in 5 years? What do I want to happen that's not happening? What do I want changed? that really, I believe, needs changing. And you can really have coalitions and conversations about those 2 or 3 things and begin to build groups who are like-minded. And to make those changes, we need to really appreciate the fact that we need to vote. And we need to vote in people who would likely work for the things we want to see changed in the next 5 years.
Truth is about dealing with what is actual, real, and factual. And so it is important for you as young people to begin to deal with and address the myths that occur in our community and take that head on. Because the only way we are going to make the positive change that we seek is by alleviating the misconceptions, the assumptions, and the misbeliefs about people who live in our community and amongst us. So my challenge to you is seek honesty, seek truth, and be people of integrity.
We need to confront some of the cultural lies that we all exist under. And we so quickly explain what happened in Charleston on one person that we're saying is demented, and it looks like there were indicators that there were some serious mental, emotional imbalances there. But really, he is a reflection of much that is in our society. So until we can face that is in all of us, it is certainly in those of us who think we enjoy some kind of privilege by being white or male or straight or more money than others. But at the same time, those of us who are black like me and female and not of the high echelon of the finance also have absorbed some of those cultural lies. And we all suffer from them. We've got to confront those things that are inside of us, but also confront them as they exist in the institutions, our governmental institutions, in our churches, in our educational places, inside of our families, and know that really the possibilities, the liberation for us all is with one another. So
I think that we are living in a world and in a nation that has so greatly devalued other human beings, their dignity, their worth, their spiritual essence, and that we've not fully faced that. And it takes the form of the historical accumulation of trauma in certain concentrated communities. You know, it's not normal for people to respond to the killing of a person by burning up the city. That reflects something, doesn't it? It's not about one person, is it? It's not about a police officer, you know. It involves all of that. It's a way that this thing has built up in the hearts and souls of people who don't feel any hope anymore. And then that's undergirded by economic devastation. People can't get work. Last thing I would say is the great struggle for democracy. And we don't need to reduce democracy to just voting. It's about having a voice. And when the world shuts your voice down, they jam your humanity, belittle you. And what I want to say is that the struggle in North Carolina for democracy is so important. But democracy has to be practiced on every level, in the neighborhoods, in the schools, on boards, and it can't be trumped by mammon. Jesus said that don't get so confused about all of these things. He boiled it down and said, listen, either the God of love that respects the dignity and worth of all of God's children is going to rule your life, or mammon, whatever you decide that is, money, wealth. And that so much of our society is caught up on that. The church has a role to play. It needs to lead the effort in repentance. It needs to lead it. It needs to lead the effort in bringing about economic equity. And it needs to lead the fight for the voices of all of God's children to be heard. And I would say that you, as part of the church, just sit with that. Think about it. Because we can jump on our horse and ride off in 10 directions and probably get nowhere. But if we're focused on what problem we're trying to solve and how it manifests itself and how we have to walk up on those different manifestations, I feel mighty good about that. And I feel mighty good about sharing this with you. I feel good about being here with everybody because it's going to take all of us to turn the tragedies of our yesterdays into triumphs for our tomorrows.